I'm your host, Grayson Brulte. Welcome to another episode of SAE Tomorrow Today, a show about emerging technology and trends, and we'll build it with leaders and innovators who make it all happen. On today's episode, we're absolutely honored to be joined by Lin-Soo Fa, CEO and founder Emobi. On today's episode, we'll explore how data and a secure digital infrastructure, combined with a growing EV charging network, are shaping the future of electric vehicles. We hope you enjoy this episode. Lynn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Grayson. Glad to be here.
What you're building is cool. You have a lot of things, a lot of data, but I think one of the most important things is that you're allowing your customers to keep chargers having really great uptime. EVs are scaling, they're changing. What role do you see from an overall perspective of Emobi playing in the future of EVs?
Thank you, Grayson. So Emobi is basically the digital infrastructure that connects all these different EV charging networks to various apps and services that people already use. Right now, most EV drivers, they only know a handful of major charging networks like Tesla Superchargers, Electrify America, ChargePoint. But there are actually more than 80 different charging networks across the US and Canada. And the tricky part is that each charging network, they operate a little differently. They follow different versions of protocols and datasets. And so for the drivers, they have to download each charging app, create an account, put in payment information, juggling between apps and cards. And for the businesses that actually build the apps and services, integration to multiple charging networks is a huge challenge. And so at Emobi, we're solving the problem for the businesses that build the apps and services. We integrate with each individual charging network. We package and standardize them into one single point of legal, financial, and technical integration. So we make it possible for apps and services like mapping apps, parking apps, fleet operator, native automaker apps, or even the infotainment systems to seamlessly connect to all those charging networks. So enabling that seamless, secure, and reliable EV charging for their users. So our role in the industry is to make charging feel effortless. No matter where you are or what app you prefer to use, that your EV charging is secure, reliable, and is a seamless process.
Were you a frustrated EV driver with a non-Tesla that I was one, and you would go to download this app, put your credit card here, do this, that, and did you just say, wait a second, there's a better way to do this? Is that what led you to founding this, or was it a friend, or what led to the founding?
The founding goes back to 4 years ago. So I was an EV driver myself, and I was so frustrated because I had 10 different apps on my phone, and this is 2020, and I start talking to other EV drivers, and I've seen insane amount of RFID cards. They would bring a book of cards to just fulfill their charging needs, and so I know it was a huge problem, and so I started kind of going into it, and I realized that I don't want to build the one app that people have to just download again. And so the goal was, how can I enable as many apps and services out there so that people can choose their preferred apps to fulfill their charging needs?
You're acting as, let's call it, you call it digital infrastructure, I call it plumbing, because you're making this seamless for the end consumer, the EV driver, or the fleet operator, for a matter of fact. So there's 80 different networks in the United States and Canada. How the heck do you get everybody to play nice with your software platform?
Oh, it's hell of a challenge. So, I mean, there's two sides of the market. On one side, we gather our data from the charger operators. We currently integrate with 122,000 charging ports across 27 charging networks. And these are completely different protocol and different versions. And so there are technical challenges to standardize them into one single point of technical integration. And in addition to that, we improve the data quality, we do data refinement, enrichment, and we put on additional layer of security and automation stack to this integration package. And so that the apps and services, when they work with Emobi, it's just one single point of access.
So you're on 27 networks today. There's 80 different networks. Is the goal to eventually get to all 80 networks?
That is absolutely correct, yes. And 27 charging networks has, different amount of chargers. So we're around 50 to 60% of coverage, including Tesla in North America today.
Wow, so you have a fourth of all the networks available. As an EV driver, How do I know if it's an Emobi enabled charger where I don't have to go through the rigmarole of getting out the book or downloading an app? How do I know from a driver's perspective that guess what? It's just going to work. How do I know that?
Yeah. So today, the goal for Emobi is to integrate more and more. So every month, you're going to see new charging network integrated to Emobi. And the beautiful part is that our apps and services customers, it will automatically feed into their apps and services when we integrate a new charging network. So this is a seamless process for the drivers. So our goal is that in the next few months, EV drivers can go to any chargers that they see or any chargers that they've heard, simply go to that location and they can seamlessly charge at those chargers without having to worry about creating a new account or a security issue.
Which is really great. So it helps EV scale from a charger operator standpoint. Are you helping to gather more refined data that they can perhaps build other products or services on?
Yes, that's correct. So we get data from the chargers for their location, availability, their pricing information, and the ability to start charging session as well. And at Emobi, we do data refinement, enrichment, and transformation. And what it actually does is that we enrich the data with more information that don't exist from the charger operators. So one example that I can give you is data reliability. We essentially create a reliability score where we process qualitative data from review information from charging history records to create this reliability score that shows if a charger is truly available or if it's not really available. Because sometimes you get to a charger and it says that it's available, but it's not. And so we're trying to give the users the visibility and the transparency on how reliable a charger is. And so that's kind of how we improve the data quality from the users.
How do you build that reliability score? Are you using outside other sources of data to refine that? Because you're right. You go, oh, charger's available. And you get there, oh, come on, it was 2 minutes ago. And you're like, ah. So how do you build upon you getting outside data?
Yes, we do involve outside data, but we also use charging attempts and records through within our ecosystem as well. So it's a combination of both outside and inside data. And these large proprietary data sets basically being processed to large language model into something that is quantitative and the reliability score that I mentioned. And it's constantly being a feedback loop to its model. So the score does change dynamically.
Wow. So you're changing dynamically. And it's right, because if you're getting the charging attempt data, you know somebody tried to plug in an attempt to charge. How do you deal with the I call them stall hogs that just park there? Is that an outlier since you really can't get that data?
Yeah, so I think physically there's no enforcement that Emobi does today. But in terms of the data, right, we want to provide as much data as possible. And one of them is basically more information about the site itself. And so reliability score also includes basically the possibility of vandalism and how accessible is the location. So we do enrich these charger location with these new data points about how to access them, if it's constantly being hogged by other people. And so this information are available in reviews, in many form of information, and we just process them into something that people can see and understand quickly.
I would say you're building a robust model, and on the backside of that, can your software, your models help increase charger reliability from uptime, at least to say, okay, you notify the operator this is down instead of this, got us somebody to go check on it. Is there any sort of that where you're increasing the uptime of the availability of these chargers in your network?
Yeah, in terms of reliability, we're looking at it two different ways. One is through the reliability score that I mentioned. How can we give them more information so that the driver can make a better decisions? So this is reliable and accurate data. But on the other side, we actually also work with apps and services that dispatch O&M or services to fix the chargers. So we do get these information when a charger is broken or down. And what essentially happened is that this information is automatically connected to these O&M services so that they can dispatch service maintenance people to fix the charger. So we're reducing that uptime. We're using the downtime as much as possible by automating those processes.
You're doing a lot of good. You're giving more visibility to the charger operators. You're giving a better experience to the EV drivers. When it comes to deploying Emobi in the field, is it a software update? Do you have to send technicians to update hardware? What does that look like when you go into the field to deploy your solution?
Yeah, Emobi is deployed on two different levels. So on one level, we do an API integration with the charging networks. This is whether through OCPI protocol or a different version of that. And basically, it's an API integration, and we package them into a unified access where our apps and services can access them through a standardized API. And so our parking app, for example, that already processed payment for EV for parking, they can now use Emobi API to show charges on their apps for their users. On the other level, this is the plug and charge and just plug. So this is the security and automation stack that we introduce to our customers. We use digital certificate. We install the certificate into a charger and also into the vehicle. And so that all of these assets have identity. And when they plugged in, charging happens automatically. You don't need an app. You don't need to click a button. All you need is to plug it in, and it will seamlessly identify you, authenticate, and authorize the charging session.
The Tesla experience, I would say, is going wide range. Then, how does the consumer know that this has been enabled for them?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is, Tesla has already done this for Tesla chargers, but we're talking about 28 different EV brands to talk with 80 different charger brands that has different protocols and standards. And so with this, that's kind of the biggest challenge and technical limitation. And so the technology that we're using is actually similar to what we use today for our website. So if we open google.com on our browser today, we see that green lock on the browser. And that's because our computer was pre-installed with certificate when it's manufactured. And in Google Server, there's also a certificate that's pre-installed. And so when they connect, they basically, oh, you have the certificate, we trust each other. And so a secure HTTPS connection is established. So similar technology, we use digital certificate in both the charger and vehicle. So when they connect with each other, they automatically identify each other, and they can identify who the driver is and which payment information I should be charging the charging session for.
Are certificates one of the key ways that you stay ahead of cyber criminals? I mean, the cat burglars, they're smart, they're sophisticated, they're always trying to, we're going to do this. Is that certificate, if you want to use the term, the authentication, is that what helps you stay ahead of them from a cybersecurity perspective?
Yes, and that's a tricky question. So the short answer is yes. So that digital certificate is what we use to authenticate and authorize. So only the drivers will, only the vehicle has the vehicle certificate, and only the charger has the charger certificate. And it's an asymmetric encryption technology. So they will never share the private key of such asset, and it always stay with whichever asset that it belongs to. The reason that I say it's tricky, this is because if we focus on purely on maximizing security and, like you mentioned, staying one step ahead of cyber criminals, we would make the process so complex that it would ruin the EV driver's experience. On the other hand, if we prioritize only convenience, we leave the system vulnerable. So I think the real challenge is to find that sweet spot, strong security without adding friction. And so at Emobi, we're building that infrastructure that ensure secure transactions, but also seamless authentication and reliable data exchange while keeping everything effortless for the user. And here's the reality. Like, we're at a time where AI is blooming, and we can use it to detect threats, predict vulnerabilities, but at the same time, cyber criminals can also use it to attack more efficiently. So that's why staying ahead isn't just about reacting to threats, it's about anticipating them before they happen. And so we use the technology like plug and charge and just plug, the patented technology that we have, to ensure secure authentication. And we're always refining our system to make sure that security and convenience go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, if security becomes a roadblock, people will look for shortcuts. And that's when real vulnerability appear.
You're right. You have to stay one step ahead, because if you don't, he's asleep at the wheel. No pun intended. Okay, let's go. up there and get it. Is that the biggest risk when you're building this out? Is the security vulnerabilities? Is that one of the biggest risks when you really look at the overall ecosystem of what you're building?
Absolutely. I'm actually cybersecurity background myself, so I could be biased on this topic, but I'm pretty nerdy about this, and I think the risk associated with vehicle are tremendous because when connectivity become more prevalent, there's gonna be more risk to charging infrastructure, to the grid. There's a lot of things that could impact it by vehicle security. And what I want to make sure as I build Emobi is that security and reliability is things that we think about as we build our product. Vehicles are a complex digital ecosystem, and there's a huge opportunity for the industry to create innovative solutions that address these risks. And that's through the plug and charge to just plug. And we're already seeing this shift from from protocols that are pretty basic to a more secure protocol. So shortly to answer your question, yes, definitely.
When you started, so you have as a cult, you have a security mindset. You have the background in cybersecurity. As you build Emobi, you hire other individuals on your team to really truly scale the product. Do you have to train them or get them in the mentality of having the security mindset just because of what you're building and the sensitivities that are around it?
Yeah, I mean, we have different part of the products. So when we talk about the plug and charge and just plug, yes, absolutely. I think security is the pillar of our product on that aspect. But I think as we talk about our product, there's also that reliability component about data. So we have engineers that are just purely focused on how can we improve the data quality, how can we improve the data accuracy. So I think security is one component. It's a huge component, but there are also other components that our product have that requires different engineers to focus on as well.
Well, engineers are cool. They build the future at the end of the day. And certain individuals have certain talents and others have other talents. When you're building Emobi, are there limitations to where and how the technology can be deployed?
Before, so if we go back to 2024, before we file our patents on Just Plug, yes, there are limitations. Plug and charge technology is limited to only vehicles and charger that have the firmware and hardware to support what we call the ISO 15118 protocol. Basically, it's an international standard protocol to install digital certificate to vehicles and charger. And so it took our team months of technical work to design and invent Just Plug. And the purpose is to enable plug and charge capabilities for legacy chargers and vehicles. These are basically 80-90% of the chargers and vehicles today. Most of the vehicles and chargers, they don't have the firmware and the hardware to support such communication and such encryption communication. And because of that, the technology has been extremely slow in adoption because it requires every party in the industry, from the manufacturer to the software developer to everyone in the chain, to spend more money and to spend more time to upgrade the system. And for some companies, for the charger operator, this means ripping out the old chargers and replacing with the new one. So when people create technology, sometimes they forget about what about the ones that we've already deployed. And so that's kind of the genesis of Just Plug, is essentially where how can we move that communication, the authentication and authorization to the cloud to remove the barrier for adoption so that any chargers and any vehicles that has been deployed can have this secure and automated communication.
For the listeners who might not understand Just Plug, just so we can clarify for them, it's a software layer, or is there also a hardware layer that goes along with that as well?
It's a software layer that requires firmware and hardware upgrades to support encryption. Because when we talk about encryption, there are some signing processes that needs to happen, and it requires certain firmware to support that.
You're going right back to your cyber background. That's really truly where you're going. Let's get into infrastructure here for a minute. What are some of the key components to build out digital infrastructure for mobility? Are there key building blocks if you're going to build an AWS? Okay, so you need your S3, you need your Elastic, you need your EC2. Are there similar components when you're building out the digital infrastructure?
If I think about our digital infrastructure, I think about like a few key pillars that make everything work behind the scenes. I think first, the seamless connectivity and interoperability. This is a fancy way of saying that all different systems, the car, the chargers, need to be able to talk to each other smoothly. And today they don't always do that well. I mean, outside of Tesla, most of them are struggling to be able to communicate with each other. And a lot of the services operate in silos, which creates friction. And the goal is to break down those barriers so mobility feels like one connected ecosystem, not a bunch of disconnected services. And then there's payment and access, which is about making transactions effortless. No one wants to deal with multiple accounts, different apps, or pulling out a credit card at a charging station. The future is embedded payments, where your car just handles it automatically, whether it's charging, tolls, or even parking. And I think the another big one is data and AI. Mobility is becoming more predictive. AI is already helping optimizing traffic, predicting charger availability, and even managing energy demand. So the better our data, the smoother everything runs. And I think lastly is security and automation. As cars and infrastructure become more connected, cybersecurity becomes a huge priority. Technologies like plug and charge and just plug make it possible for EV to authenticate itself at a charger without an app or card, making the process both seamless and secure. And so more automation, vehicle to grid and energy integration, and unified mobility identity are basically where we see Emobi can change the future.
That's a feature that we all want to get to. And embedded payments is one that I've been studying for a while because it's the future. It's coming. How close do you really think we are until you have ubiquitous embedded payments are going?
I would say it's already happening. I think that the question is how can we make sure that this technology is being adopted to across all chargers and all vehicles, right? And today, Emobi, we're already been integrated to various apps and services. We are in pilot with a few automakers and EV fleets. And so I think hopefully in a couple years time, this is not just, one specific brand or a few brands of automakers, but hopefully all of the automakers and EV charger operators are connected within the ecosystem to be able to support this seamless communication.
When we hit, let's say, critical mass for embedded payments, what does it unlock? What is it? What is this big unlock that's going to occur?
The big unlock is basically the technology advancement on plug and charge. So I would think that we just went through the unlock end of last year when we launched the patent. We received tremendous interest because people didn't think about the legacy chargers in the vehicles. They think about, okay, the new chargers and vehicles can support this new technology that can automatically identify each other across different brands. But they forget about the 3 million vehicles that have been deployed and the hundred thousands of chargers that have been installed. And so when JustBlock launched, it kind of clicks with people that like, oh, wow, we do need this because we can't really just rip out all chargers or forget about them. And so I think that has unlocked a lot of pilot opportunities. And to be completely transparent, our technical team is backed by many pilot that we need to do, and scaling is a problem right now for our team. So I would say we're kind of in that pivotal moment on just making sure we can accommodate as many chargers and vehicles out there today.
Well, scaling is what the VCs want to hear. They don't want a business that's not scaling. Let's be honest, that's what they want. They want scaling. And when you look at chargers, to me, I say it's concrete. You just can't go and delete a file. There's concrete in the ground, and somebody went out there and physically put it there. And some of them are getting older. Can the Emobi software unlock anything on these older chargers? Perhaps their life, they can last longer until they have to really truly go through an upgrade cycle. Can your software unlock that from a longevity standpoint?
Longevity on the hardware, we're limited, right? So Emobi, we are mostly software, but we do provide that data points that we provide to the O&M service company. And they focus a lot on a lot of chargers that are over their warranty period. And so they help to fix chargers that are essentially very old. But on the software side, we create innovations so that these older chargers can be functional, can still be convenient for the driver, so that they are still practically usable for the drivers. And as long as it's practically usable and it's secure, and I think it will basically can be used by the EV drivers as long as it lasts.
You eliminate the friction, EV scale. Do you feel that inconsistent charging or charging nightmares that you read about all over Reddit are one of the main reasons why EVs really haven't truly scaled outside of Tesla?
Absolutely. I think what we see on Reddit and these forums about EV charging is very true. And in fact, it's there needs to be more discussion about this, because one of the biggest barriers for EV adoption is charging infrastructure, which directly leads to range anxiety caused by charging inconvenience. And this is not just about, whether charger exists, it's about whether the drivers know about them and whether they can find them and trust that they will work when they get there. And so if we break this down, like what people say in these forums is that there's one, lack of visibility. Many drivers don't know certain charger exists. The 80 charging networks, I'm sure that even I can only memorize a few of, like, half of them. I wouldn't be able to memorize all 80 of them. And so it's scattered across different networks, and some stations aren't properly mapped, and many aren't integrated into the apps drivers already use today. And I think second, reliability issue. When drivers do find a charger, it's a gamble. The charger might show as available in an app, but when they arrive, it's broken, offline, or in use. And I think third is inconvenience and security risk. Drivers have to create multiple accounts across different networks, storing their payment, personal info in several places. That's not just frustrating, it's actually a security risk, increasing the exposure to cyber threats. In fact, this is a cool statistic that I came across, is that 2 out of 10 EV drivers actually switch back to gas cars because of these charging inconveniences. And so in order for EVs to truly scale, especially outside of Tesla, we need better visibility, real reliability, and a seamless, secure experience. That means unifying charger data, improving the data quality, and making the entire charging process automated, but still secure. And so when charging is an easy, seamless, and a trusted process as refueling a gas car, I think that's when EV adoption will truly take off.
Because that's when you're going to have trust. And when you have trust, really great things happen. Then you have scale, because trust is paramount. Lynn, in your opinion, what is the future of Emobi?
Thank you for asking that. Emobi is already becoming the backbone of EV infrastructure in North America. But the future that we see goes far beyond that. We see Emobi expanding globally, ensuring seamless EV charging and connectivity worldwide across borders. And beyond just charging, going vertically, we're also driving the next wave of innovation. Again, we're not just connecting chargers to vehicles, but also we're introducing technology stack. The same protocol that we use today for plug and charge and just plug, those digital certificates that we issue for vehicles and chargers, will also be the foundation for vehicle to grid communication. This, what V2G or vehicle to grid means is that EVs won't just consume energy, they'll actually store and return energy back to the grid, turning every car into a dynamic energy resources. And in the not so distant future, our vehicle won't just be for transportation. It will be an intelligent, flexible energy storage system, allowing drivers to charge when electricity is cheapest and discharge when demand is high. And so Emobi is building that foundation for this future, where EVs are not just cars, but key players in the global energy ecosystem.
Grid balancing. As we've seen in California, we've seen in Texas, grid balancing becomes a big thing. And in my opinion, that's going to become a very large market, especially as these new AI data centers continue to come online and we don't have nuclear energy is continue to be top of mind for a lot of individuals. And what you're building will play a critical role in ensuring that EVs can scale. As we look to wrap up this insightful conversation today, Lynn, what would you like our listeners to take away with them?
If I can leave one thing to the audience from this session, it's this. We need to keep innovating. Whether you're a traditional automaker, a charging network operator, or working anywhere in between that, the future of EVs depend on more than just the vehicle iteration. It's about solving real problems for the drivers and fixing the infrastructure challenges that hold EV adoption back. And so at Emobi, we choose to innovate. We choose to go through the trouble to build just block technology, develop data refinement models, write patents to push the industry forward. Because reliability, security, and automation aren't just buzzwords that we come up with. They're what will make EV infrastructure work seamlessly for everyone today and in the future. And so let's make tomorrow's EV infrastructure promises realized today.
I would sum it up this way. Keep innovating, keep building. Today is tomorrow, tomorrow is today, the future is Emobi. Lynn, thank you so much for coming on SAE Tomorrow Today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to SAE Tomorrow Today. Be sure to join us next week as we discover how Clemson's Deep Orange 15 is revolutionizing disaster response with advanced autonomy, imaging, and off-road capabilities.
SAE International makes no representations as to the accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. The information and opinions are for general information only. SAE International does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast.